people who stay the same people that they were yesterday, those are the most miserable people on earth.
Yeah.
Those are the people who get to the point where they don't mind, they have no sense of pride anymore.
Loyalty. Think about that. How many of you are holding on to the idea of loyalty because you've been told you need to show loyalty? But the thing is, that aspect that you're holding on to that may not be who you are, may not be true to you, may be the reason that you're stuck and you're being held back. So sometimes we got to question and look at the idea and the things that we're holding on to and ask ourselves, are they truly for us? Or do we need to go do something different? Loyalty can be a great thing, but it can also be a hindrance point. For you, take the time, do a deep dive, question your loyalty. Do you need to go get rid of it or go do something different? Enjoy the episode and we'll catch you later. Legacy Warriors, what is up?
LW's in the house.
Next episode of the podcast. And it's interesting when things show up. We've talked about it, pivoting. And if you have to make the adjustments, you go with it. But how many people fight not pivoting because they're like, this is the only way that it has to be, and it's my way or no way. And instead of pivoting, they miss out on huge things because of their feelings and their viewpoint.
So I'm going to just put some terms out there. You've all heard of a growth mindset and a static mindset.
Yeah.
Okay. What if you have a rich mindset, or if you have a impoverished mindset?
When you think about the term rich, though, like, everybody has this negative connotation that if you're rich, it's bad. Because think about it, like, everybody that has money, how many people are going after those people?
How many rich people have you ever said it sucks to be rich?
None.
Exactly. So who's saying that being rich is a bad thing? The people who aren't rich.
That's true. Well, the people that have never experienced it before, because you brought up the idea of like passive income. People that have never had it before don't miss it.
100%. Because they don't know what they're missing.
It's the same thing.
Like, that's what I'm saying, though, is like, if you don't have passive income, you don't know the power of passive income.
Yeah.
Only the people who have had passive income truly miss passive income when they don't have it.
Yeah, no, it's true, because it's something that you've never experienced. So
correct. If I tell you, hey, if you go to sleep and you wake up tomorrow and you have more money than what you did last night, do you think somebody who's never had that is going to be like, tell me more?
No, they'll be like, you're lying.
Right. Right. Exactly. Because everybody that has never experienced great opportunities thinks everything else is a scam.
True. Yeah, and that, I don't know, that's such an interesting thing, because it's kind of what happened with Dr. G's social media. He was putting out a post in regards to his course, and somebody came on there and commented scam, but it's not. And I went and looked at his profile because I'm managing everything, and this guy's been on Facebook since like 2020, but he has one post. And then you don't see friends, nothing of that. So it's like people that like to create the troll accounts just to go piss people off. And we've had that. I was telling you with the YouTube channel, a couple of the videos, like people were coming on there and just making remarks just to try to get a rise out of us or something. And I was like, hey, thank you for taking the time for leaving a comment, because you don't realize what that's doing on the back end for us.
Dude, you know, one of the funnest live streams I ever had on Twitch came from a night where I got 4chan'd. You know 4chan?
No.
Okay, so basically it's a bunch of trolls coming with like the worst comments, racist, sexual, whatever, right? And it's a whole community. So when they come full force. My channel got 4chan hacked, and it was 300 people all came in at one time, all talking shit because I was Asian, because I had slanted eyes, and all this stuff.
That's nuts.
My chat was getting pissed. My admins were getting pissed. I sat there and laughed for like 30 minutes straight, because what happened was that it just made me laugh. But also it was like, you know how many followers I got because other people started seeing how many people were in the channel and they saw how I was reacting to it. And so at the end, I'm sitting there and I'm like egging them on
Mm,
because what people don't realize, just like we've talked about, going down the land of stupid,
yeah,
right? Very few people can do it very successfully, but the ones that do, you remember them for a lifetime, but
yeah,
how many of them thrive and transition to something else, right? So it's the same exact thing. Trolls are, everyone hates that, everyone's, oh, that's so mean. That's,
yeah.
dude, trolls help you more than you know, and they're so stupid they don't realize that they're helping you.
That is very true. And the thing is, it's like if I've heard Peter Voos brought it up, he's like, if you don't have haters, you're not doing big enough things.
Let's go. Mamba mentality. You need fans and you need haters both like, because if you don't have
Yeah.
either, you're doing nothing.
Well, that's also now, are you playing that middle ground? Because are you playing it so safely that you're not showing up like you should?
100%.
And then you're ending up missing out on an opportunity. And that's why we talk about, and that's why I have the big saying of you either love me or you hate me. There's no in between. And I think it's an interesting thing with the fact that you look at individuals that freak out when they start getting these hate comments or people want to be vocal and be mean. Well, go look at them. Like Sean Cannell during training last week, he's like, "All right, Susan, you haven't posted a video and you got 3 followers, but you're gonna come and tell me what's going on here." And it's such a unique thing because people look at it differently, and I think they look at it in the wrong perspective. Use that as fuel, use that as fire to move forward, but a lot of times we don't want to deal with those negative emotions because we want everybody to love us.
Well, here's the other thing, right? Interesting concept. Everybody always talks about going left or going right, right? Especially in their political views.
Mm.
But the people who don't move at all, right? They choose not to take a stance, so therefore they are taking a stance. But because they haven't chosen to do anything with it, it's like a wasted vote, right? Now, again, you can choose to be independent party, but if you're an activist and you actually believe in it, that's very different than just not taking a stance at all. Okay. Because that means that you have actually made a choice. But if you basically sit there and you say, you know what, I can't make a decision. You stay at a standstill and you're frozen. That right there is a choice in itself. And it's the worst one, right? Because if as long as you go one way or the other, or at least you've looked at everything you said, you've declared, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. That's a choice.
Yeah.
But the minute you make no decision,
Mm.
that is in itself a choice too. But that is by far the worst choice because at least then people know where you stand. But by not doing anything, nobody knows where you stand, and nobody gives a damn at that point either.
True. And it goes back to that whole fear factor of trying to have everybody happy, trying to have everybody on your
Fuck
side.
that.
But the
Fuck that.
that's such a huge aspect of like loss of energy. You're putting out unnecessary energy, and it's the fact of we want everybody to be the yes man and make sure, because I've seen it before. They're like, should I do this or should I do this? And they're putting out the opinions and asking for opinions, but they're looking for validation because if it doesn't work out, they can go back to that person and be like, hey, you told me to do this, but it didn't work out. So it's your fault that you told me to do it this way. Instead of going and doing it, taking the leap, and if it doesn't work out, you pivot and you build the airplane as you're falling down.
So every fucking bad guy or bad woman, right? Every single bad person always has a shitty backstory, right? But yet, doesn't every single thriving sports player, every single rapper that came from the hood that watched somebody die, don't they all have the same shitty backgrounds?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the only person that continues to stay shitty is the person who makes no moves whatsoever, right? Everybody has a bad story. Everybody comes from a broken home or an abusive relationship or an isolation or whatever. But how many people choose to continue to carry that baggage and let that deal with them versus how many people decide, you know what, fuck that, I'm putting that behind me and I'm using this as leverage to continue to thrive and go to the next level.
Yeah, no, it's a very well, and I think it's the comfort thing though. And because that's what you're used to, you're going to continue to take that with you. But I think when you look at leaders and the individuals that are trailblazers, they said, screw the shit, screw whatever's going on, screw the bad stuff. Let me move forward. And that's an opportunity for me to grow. Those are opportunities for lessons to take and bring forward and share with other people to help them cut down their learning curve.
Anybody that comments in this is going to be eligible, but anybody that donates anything, right, automatically you get multiple entries in this book, Tribe of Millionaires. I've talked about this. You've heard me talk about this millions of times. Tribe of Millionaires is where the concept of you surround yourself and you're the average sum of the 5 people you surround yourself around the most. Okay. Now that's a basic concept. Everybody's talked about it. That's, that everybody's heard that.
True.
What they don't know, what they didn't read because they didn't read the book, was it says that if you go next level, you probably understand what their income is. And if you understand what somebody's income is and you're surrounded by those 5 people and your income is similar or in that bracket, but it's not where you want to be, then the logical reason and the logical choice is to change your circle.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But people get tied up thinking, oh, this has been my best friend for 50 years, for 30 years. And so I have to stay loyal to this. But you can still stay loyal. You can still be friends.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that person has to be your inner circle. That doesn't mean this person is the person you get life advice from, because you're taking life advice from a guy who makes $25K a year when you could be spending people who are making 6, 7, 8 figures a year and learning from them.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have 7 millionaires in the room and you're the 8th person, there damn well better be 8 millionaires in the room. But if you're that last person, odd man out, well, then you're learning something.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, like, people are like, oh, loyalty. I've been with this person. Like, and again, yes, there is a fact of loyalty that is super important, right? That is a huge concept, right? People are like, oh, I'm going to switch insurance every 6 months for a lower price, right? Like, you don't see loyalty in business, right? But you also don't see loyalty to the concepts and the adaptability to change and pivot because you're loyal for the wrong reasons, or you're loyal to the wrong things. Like, so many people are sitting there in a shitty marriage, taking the abuse because they're loyal, because they were loyal to the family that beat them, right? I mean, the cycles continue to go on and on and on and on. And no matter which way you look at it, at the end of the day, nobody was like, you know what? Fuck this loyalty thing because my kids are getting beat because I got beat, right? My kids are going to be poor because I was poor. Not one of them had said, you know what? Maybe I should stop being loyal to the people that are fucking holding me down and then maybe try to break the cycle. But that's all they know. Now that's also all that they have. Because you know what? If you're not loyal, you're not anything. Well, guess what? If you're still loyal to the wrong things, now you're poor in the wrong things. Now you're abused. Now you're emotionally detached. Now you don't have all these things that allow you to thrive and go to the next level. Now you can't break away from that circle of friends and those average of 5 people because you're loyal. But guess what? If that is the only thing that you're loyal to, but your monies are still fucked up, your family's still fucked up, all of those things, then what the fuck is loyalty if you have all these things all fucked up?
I think a little bit comes into the fear factor of the unknown. And so that loyalty acts as that comfort blanket for people because that's what they've known. Because it goes back, like if we were still cave people and whatnot, like getting kicked out of the tribe is not going to be good for you because you're getting eaten or squashed. But in today's day and age, if you get kicked out of the tribe, what's worse is going to happen to you?
You go and find another one with people all over the world and all over the internet. That's what happens. In fact, you're probably better for it because you realize, well, fuck, I didn't belong there anyway. Now I know people that are out there that actually enjoy it. You know what? This is the most fucked up thing, right? Pedophilia has that fucking tribe now.
Oh, yes.
Right? Stupid shit like that exists. And people are like, oh my God, yes, now I have a group of people I can connect with because they all feel the same. And now we can pass the laws in California. Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
That's the good and the bad part of the internet. But if it works for them and you're sitting there moping and you're sitting there complaining about your money and your situation, if they can do it, you sure as hell can do it.
And that's the thing, like, it comes down to the fact that a lot of people are like, if I've done it, you can do it. But that other person on the other side of it, though, is where's their mentality? And so without the proper mentality, you can hear everybody and their mothers say, if I've done it, you can do it. But if they don't have that belief or they don't have the confidence in themselves, no matter how many times they hear it, it's not going to stick.
We all know who gives the best advice.
The broke people.
The broken person gives the best advice.
Not broke in like money sense, but like the person that has collapsed and
person who needs the most help.
Yeah.
Right? Gives the best advice because oftentimes they're talking to themselves.
Yeah.
It's the pep talk, but they have a platform now to share it because somebody's seeking that. So when you realize, shit, I'm preaching to the choir, I need to take my own advice, then why don't we? Right. And that's the part where the human psyche says, you know what? Stop, pause right there, because we're fucked up and it's going to hurt. Right. And your body is designed to alert you and to protect you from hurt and pain. Right. So the minute that threshold and that mirror comes, it's like pulling the blinds on. You're like, you know what? That was too painful. We're not going there. And it's easy to talk about it in third person because it's a deflection. But when you actually come there and you sit there and you're like, I would write down my own problems and I would go and fucking talk to myself in the mirror. And it sounds fucked up, trust me. But I would go there and I would sit there and I'd be like, damn, you are going paycheck to paycheck. You have zero worth. And then I would sit there and talk to myself, be like, well, are you being diligent about paying your bills? You're skipping out on work. You're working the system to, stay on a short-term disability. You're not getting promoted because you're, cutting out as much work time as possible and you're cusp on the edge so you can keep your job. Like it was self-destruction. But it's easy to tell somebody else who's struggling, like, you know what? Maybe you just need a different surroundings. Maybe you're not getting paid your worth and your value. Not knowing what's actually going on, what that person's doing, maybe for self-destruction, right? Because it's easy to jump on the side and say, you know what, I'm going to be your hero. I'm going to tell you all the things that you want to hear. But can you tell yourself that same shit? Can you be your own hero?
And that's what I was going to bring up, the fact that a lot of times people are speaking when that's stuff that they need to listen to. But it's so unique because when you get into the center of the storm and you're centered to everything, you don't see that stuff, but then you start giving advice that you need to other people. And so it's a very unique thing because, it's got to be a huge irritant to really pop up and force somebody to say, yeah, let me go ahead and make a change. But we know some people that have had huge irritants that are still going down the path of, I love pain. I'm going to cry, but I still love it. Give me a shoulder on, but I'm not going to listen. And all this craziness.
No, what's even worse is the person that says, I need help. I want help.
Yeah.
You give them help and then they go back to it and realize that they don't want help. They want attention.
Yeah.
Right. And a cry for help and a cry for attention. Oh, wait, I complained. I cried about this and somebody actually paid attention to me. So let me go ahead and make myself a martyr over and over. And guess what? It works for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You could go on YouTube, you could go on these TikTok channels, and there are people out there who literally say, I'm ugly.
Yeah.
And they have millions of followers for this whole pity story of me, I'm ugly.
It's true.
Right? You can go on there and find all these single mothers or single fathers who are telling their sad story over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Right? In just a different version. Because they're crying, because they've got filters on. And they are literally just seeking attention that they would not be able to get because they can't overcome and help themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm not sitting here just preaching, talking all this shit about people because I'm better than anyone. You know me better than anyone.
Yeah.
The last thing that I think is I'm better than other people because I get caught up in that of the game that we all play of, I saying the worst shit to myself, right?
Yeah.
But you also know my story and you've seen the parts that I came from. So for those of you who haven't heard it, basically it goes like, hey, I went from on purpose to unfinished, multiple suicide attempts, major stress, depression, blah, 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 right? Fill in the blanks. And I'm not downplaying all that. I'm just giving you the fast forward version of it because I'm tired of talking about that portion of my life. Yes, it makes for a great story. Yes, people can relate to it. But at the end of the day, that's not the area of focus for me.
Yeah.
My area of focus is going from that to basically being rationing bags of potatoes. You've heard that portion multiple times. Learning that if you had $1 in your bank account, you can get a full tank of gas, right?
Yeah.
Talk about life hacks, right? And I could put a whole ghetto version of life hacks together for you and do a series on that. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, why don't you? Because I don't live that style and I don't want to live that lifestyle, right? I don't care to teach somebody how to live ghetto. I don't care to teach somebody how to barely survive. I teach people how to thrive. I teach people how to go next level because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go to that next level, right? I just had a meeting with financial planner yesterday. He said, what do you want to do for retirement? How much money do you need? And I said, I need $500,000 a year, right? And he said, for what? What are you trying to do? And I said, whatever the hell I want, right? And he said, well, damn. He's like, maybe I need to dream bigger, right? But at the end of the day, no one can tell you what to do. No one can tell you how to live your life. And if you're allowing somebody to do that, spouse, parents, culture, media, then you're fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, maybe it's not your fault, but how you choose to deal with it 100% is.
Yeah. Well, I think the fact of that was the story, you built upon it, you've made the pivot. It's the fact of what you focus on is going to expand. And so if you're trying to give that backside and give that information to other people, like there's lessons there to extract and give to other people, but you don't want to focus on it because if that's what you're focusing on, that's what's going to keep showing up. That's what's going to expand. And then the fact that you're struggling or you want to do something business wise or something with your life and you're not doing it, it's because of what you're focusing on.
Well, and you outgrow it, right? People who stay the same people that they were yesterday, those are the most miserable people on earth.
Yeah.
Those are the people who get to the point where they don't mind. They have no sense of pride anymore. Hey, guys, I'm struggling. Can you pay me? Can you give me your hard-earned money to me for free because I chose to make dumb decisions? Can you give me? And again, I understand there are situations where you're at your worst. There are sometimes where you have absolutely nothing that you can do except ask for help, right? And most people are too prideful to do that. I get it. I'm downplaying it a little bit only because of the fact that there are so many more ways to make money and side hustles that were not available when I struggled, right? I can give you two right off the bat right now. You can go online and you can create a free YouTube account. You can create a social media account and you can literally take pictures of anything. Your phone allows you to do all that in 10 seconds. Okay. Yeah, it's going to take some time, but guess what? You live in a day now where you can create content. If your content sucks, your stats will show it. If your content is good, your stats will show it. So if you're getting shitty results, guess what? Turn around and change the content. Okay. Go and donate plasma. $1,000 a month, right? Or at least for the first couple months. I don't know what it is, but it's a side hustle. People are paying off, between spouse and husband. They do it, and they pay off their mortgage. And now the rest goes towards your savings, goes to your goals, right? 3, you have a bunch of shit sitting in your house that you've never touched. You may be a collector of some sort or a hoarder. Somebody's trash is another man's treasure. You could go on Facebook Marketplace, you can go on Mercari, you can go on eBay, you can list that shit. But people are afraid, people are scared, people are lazy, right? And so right there, I just gave you 4 side hustles, which you could turn around and make a living and make those into full-time businesses. If you choose to do that, if you were willing to maybe look up a few YouTube videos, if you're willing to just dare yourself to try it, there is zero excuse for anybody to be poor. And again, maybe it's not, maybe you don't have a whole lot of stuff. Maybe you got to get rid of things. Guess what? Other people have stuff that you can sell. You can sell on their behalf and you can get paid for that.
Yeah, that's funny that you bring that up because Travis Brown actually highlighted that as a side hustle. Going around and giving people the time saying, hey, do you have stuff that you want to sell? But maybe they don't have the time to go list or go figure it out. You go do it for them.
I will come to your house
And get
I will
a
sell your shit and you give me 20%.
Get a percentage of it, and then because if you're able to help somebody free up time, it's just another way to help somebody else out.
Use your leverage and your knowledge. Like, okay, so we've talked about this, right? You've obviously helped people through the divorce realm.
Yeah.
Right. There wasn't a whole lot of resources for men, especially obviously women still need that too. But there was far less resources for men available.
Yeah.
So when you took on that mantle and we created the groups and you were doing the podcast for it, right? It was incredible to see the reach out and the amount of people who were like, wow, this is crazy. But somebody going through a divorce probably is way more knowledgeable than a therapist who's been married for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe they talk about the trauma and they can help you maneuver and you know, kind of overcome and talk it out and teach you things. But at the end of the day, somebody who's 3 days from being divorced and having gone through that process has a whole bunch of knowledge.
No, true.
Right. So now that person could turn around and technically label themselves as a divorce expert, as long as they can learn to separate by putting themselves in that other person's situation and realize that every situation is different.
No.
So it may not be the same, but the experience and going through some of that and fast forwarding some of the process, hey, you might want to talk to this, you might want to document this, you might want to go through it, right? To have all that. Now all of a sudden you're an expert.
No.
You could go 60 minutes on YouTube, learn a video, try it and apply it, start figuring things out, maybe tinker with it, and all of a sudden you're an expert. But guess what? You're going to be mad because the person who did it before you was willing to go online and put a video of it. You're like, well, this person made 3 million views. How stupid is that? Well, guess what? You end up watching it. You're 3.3 million at one. First, right? So you have infinite ways to process and move forward and get yourself unstuck. But loyalty.
Well, I think the interesting thing is, and a lot of people have to understand, you just have to be a couple steps ahead of somebody else.
Even if you're not, you're still steps ahead of somebody that is that, or even if you're behind the next person, but there's always somebody that has a need for your knowledge, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you watch these TikTok videos of these guys asking questions like, what's the capital of the United States? And people are like, Tahiti, and he was like, correct, right? Like,
oh yeah.
I mean, now granted, I'm sure that maybe some of it's staged, some of it is, you know, people maybe they're drunk. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen them do it during the day, you know. But whatever it is, the situation, like there are people who are, and we've talked about this, willing to go down the land of stupid. And what that means is that you basically have somebody who's willing to go down and be a fool, and then they come back and they, you know, have built a following, right? Jake Paul comes to mind, one of the probably the ones that do it the best, honestly, because look at what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Going down that route and that path, most people are afraid to even get there because guess what? Fear, judgment. People are going to see this. Oh no, you know, all the things that I think the worst about myself, other people aren't going to be able to match that, but I'm so afraid of it. So when you get to all these things and call it what it is, no matter what, anybody that ever dared to do something different, whether it was being stupid, whether it's being funny, political, creative, you have a following.
Yeah.
You have the ability to find those people. You have the ability to connect to those people. You have the ability to reach those people. And it doesn't matter where you're at in the totem pole. If you're at the top, somebody's hungry and they will surpass you. Sure. If you're at the bottom, you have plenty of people that you can learn from.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe you're here today, maybe tomorrow, maybe it's a competition, maybe it's a ladder, whatever it is. There is nothing wrong with that because competition makes the world go round. It makes people better, it makes people thrive. It also gives people the opportunity to get out of being stagnant, which is the most important piece.
Yeah, and we've already talked the whole piece of stagnation is you're dying as a person. And we're meant to grow.
I'm so hyped right now.
It's quite funny, yeah. No, but I think it's just things show up, things happen during the week, the day, and whatnot, and it just having an avenue to give a perspective, and hopefully somebody picks up and they're like, all right, cool, yeah, that's something that I need to think of. But like we talked about, we're not for everybody. So if this episode makes people angry or upset, or they're like, I'm not listening to the podcast ever again, cool, like that's your choice. Like we're not everybody's cup of tea. So
if you hate this, please tell me. Troll me.
We're not gonna do that. That's why we've asked people for feedback and all that.
be people out there, right? And that's fine, right? I'm sitting here and I'm hyped up and I'm excited. People are going to take offense, right? Some people, and again, it's a lot of it's being of where you're at. And most of the time, the reason why you either don't like somebody typically, or the reason why you take offense to something is because it hurts, or because it's truthful. And so it hits a nerve that resonates with you, right?
It's true.
So when I tell people all the time, yeah, when I was at my dumbest, I was also my poorest, right? When I didn't have a growth mentality or a growth mindset, I couldn't afford shit.
Yeah.
Even now, you hear me all the time, dude, that's 2 more sales and I can afford that. That's 3 more sales and it pays for itself, right? But it's not something that comes overnight because it's not taught to us. We're taught, on one hand, spend everything that you fucking can on all these advertisements, all these products, and all this shit that I'm gonna throw at you no matter what.
Yeah.
And then on this very small side that came from your parents, and so now it hurts a little bit to hear that because you didn't want to listen. You don't want your parents to be right. Save, 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 right? So, but then you got, but a lot of them, it's like they were saying that, but they weren't doing it themselves, right? They didn't set you up for success. Like, I'm mad at my grandparents. When I learned about trust funds, when I learned about Roth IRA that they could have been putting money away for. When I first time I ever talked to a guy and he's like, yeah, he's like, I need to take my RMD, required minimum distribution, for those who don't know.
We're not financial advisors,
right?
either.
We're not, so it doesn't matter. I can tell you shit, and but. So RMD, right? That means somebody that's retired, they have to take a certain amount out of their 401k. Anyway, this guy basically said, okay, I want to go ahead and start another Roth IRA.
Yeah.
Okay. This was his 16th IRA for an unborn grandchild. And basically he had it set up where every grandchild basically would have to go and graduate high school. As soon as they graduate high school, they're given $10,000. Now that's a lot of money to give to an 18-year-old, 17-year-old, right? But the design was, look, you've hit a milestone in your life. Go and buy a car, go and travel, go, right? If he was really smart, like, you got to put this as a down payment on a house because you have zero credit, or you have zero things that are impacting you. Now you have an investment property. But again, that knowledge came later. But he set that up, and then he says, okay, now if you go to a 4-year college university and get a degree, I'm going to give you another $20,000 because that is yet another milestone. And then if you wait till you're 30 or above, I will give you more money for getting married, right? So if you were 25 to 30, you got less because he wanted you to go and get life experience. Yeah. And then he said, if you were between 30 to 35, you're going to get a little bit less than the person who is between 35 and 40. And he said, if you were between 40 to 45 and you didn't have a companion, you'd lose it all. So his encouragement as his life experience basically said, look, you get to go to high school, go and live some life, get your 4-year degree, and live some more life. Yeah. And then start to establishing a legacy, whether that be family, whether it be a business, whatever. But what they also didn't know is that in the back end of those things, that if they had kept their marriage, or if they had kept their career and they were financially stable, if they got to the point where they hit 100K in sales, they would inherit the rest of whatever was in that account. If they did not, the trust is that rolls over into a new account.
No, I think that's smart.
Talk about legacy. Can you believe how mad I was at my grandparents when I found this out? How mad I was at my dad for not figuring this out or hearing this?
Well, and I think there's a little bit of that. You're like, man, like, you're an adult, you're much older, you should know. And it's almost learned. Yeah, and so that's the thing. Like, what you figured out, what you learned, and what you struggled through, that's an opportunity with the next generation to pass that on. And it is your responsibility to pass it on to other people, to help them out, because we're born, we live, and we die. So if you're not passing on the wisdom that you have, the knowledge that you have, what disservice are you doing to people?
Dude, and you know this, right? I talk about this in sales. So if you're into sales, right, and you want to grow your sales, if you don't have a passion for what you're talking about, if you don't have a passion to help people, if you think that you can just sell to somebody because you're slick, that is by far the worst sales guy in the salesperson because he's in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Right? It's a hustle, it's a grind, it's slimy, right? You're basically just trying to get away with something,
Yeah.
right? I guarantee you take somebody of that mentality, and they will also come up with the dirtiest ways to commit a crime.
Oh yeah.
Try and get away with it, right? Not to say that they're not witty, because some of the best criminals have spent so much time of figuring out how to get away with it.
Mm.
But if you take that same mentality, same mindset to build a business, they would
Yeah.
be powerhouses, right? But somebody who basically comes in and says, you know what, I believe I have superior product, and that's myself.
Yeah.
I believe 100% in whatever I'm selling, and nobody's going to talk me out of it. My job is to convince you that you need this, but it's not because you need it because I want to sell it. You need it because I see the power in it, and you just haven't realized it.
I think that's where you're solving the problems for people, and that's the thing. If you can help somebody with their problems, you're going about it the right way.
Yeah.
But it's interesting though too, when you listen to people, listen to how they speak, the verbiage that they utilize, because that will tell you where they're at, and then that will dictate on if that's somebody that you want to associate with or no. Go ahead, to each their own. You go do what you're gonna do, but you're not gonna be part of the table that I'm at.
Yeah, I highly recommend going to watch the sales video. Drawing a blank here. What's his name? Simon Sinek.
Oh, why?
Your
why or something like that.
Yeah. But that's the one where he basically talks about appealing to.
Oh, the whole Target situation.
No, I was talking about Apple and Sony.
Oh, okay.
But essentially he talks about having to appeal to that person's why, but also their gut feeling, which technically is the top center of their brain.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched that video, it's incredible. But it is one of those things where understanding, regardless of how you feel about Apple products, right? I'm an Android guy myself, but you got to respect the process, right?
Yeah.
I mean, anytime that somebody can develop a situation where people are waiting in line, where people are willing to pay thousands of dollars for a product.
True.
So it's easy to sit there in judgment. It's easy to sit there and diss something because you're not a part of it. But it takes somebody with really great insight to turn around and say, you know what? Dang, I may not like their product because of XYZ or whatever, but that is a superior product in today's world. They outlasted Nokia. Right? They beat out, technically, Apple had no reason to get into these products. They were a computer product.
Oh, yeah.
But yet, their music, their phones are highly outsell other companies that should be doing those things.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
So, again, it takes a simple person or a jealous person to say, oh, I hate them because, only elitists use it or whatever, right? The thing with new technology, thing about being on the cutting edge is that only 10% of the people are involved in that. And when you realize that maybe you're not of that 10% and you're not as cutting edge as you think, that hurts you.
Kind of goes hand in hand with the retirement for Brady.
Oh, yeah.
Like Pat McAfee was talking about, he's like, you're not going to see another generational talent like Tom. But think about everybody that hates Tom because of XYZ. And so it's like, this is something that you're not going to see again for a long time.
And again, do we have some of these guys who could break records and break some of these numbers? Maybe. Right? I mean, when Brady came, it was at that point unfathomable that you could throw that many passing yards in a single game, throw that many touchdowns in a season. But nobody thought that anybody could ever come close to breaking some of these NBA records. And if you look at how many 3-pointers Seth shoots, it's very possible, right?
Yeah.
So the game changes all the time. And again, when I say the game, I'm not talking specifically any sport. It's the game of life.
It's true.
Right? And there's always going to be somebody who's willing to play by their own rules, so to speak.
Yeah.
Fair or not, most people are willing to play within within a certain boundary.
Yeah.
But some people are just born to be cheat codes.
Yeah, true.
Tom Brady is a cheat code, right? And I remember sharing this on Facebook several years ago. Some of the best athletes I hated for the long period of time, specifically Tom Brady, Kobe Bryant, and Derek Jeter. Now, I'm not a huge baseball fan, so like, me saying I hate Derek Jeter is like somebody turn around and saying like, I hate hats, right? Like it doesn't matter. Who cares what I think, right? Because I've probably watched like 3 baseball games in years, right? I just got tired of hearing his name. But back then, going through all the worst stuff, I was also an underdog myself, right? Life was like, man, I just need a chance. Give me the opportunity. I'll prove myself, blah, 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 right? And the thing is that, like, a lot of those opportunities probably would have aligned and been there had I been prepared for it.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem is that a lot of people think they deserve or need more opportunity and more chance and that they need more money. And if they could do that, but life constantly proves to you that's not true. Because if you really wanted to get out of your situation, you would find a way to do so with the given the resources. If you really wanted to go and have those opportunities, you wouldn't sit and wait other people to bypass you. You would go and make a name for yourself. You would find a way to put yourself out there, right?
Yeah.
So what I found is that as I started transitioning and changing things within my lifestyle, I also found myself understanding and appreciating what it took to win, what it took to stay on top. Now I go back and like, dang, watching those games of Kobe, watching Brady play, even at his age and the things that he's doing, that how he's not only messing up like kind of the stats for everyone else to chase and follow, but also like a precedence, all those different things I find myself a fan of. Because yes, a team can come through and it's nice to root for the underdog, right? Because it's a story that we all want to be a part of ourselves.
Yeah.
But all the winners, all the people who are constantly winning over and over again, staying on top, the people who basically put in the work, if you ask them, nothing's automated. 80 hours a work week is nothing for them, right? Because they have other things, they have other side hustles, they have other businesses, they're mentoring, they're coaching, they're investing, they're flying from one location to the other, right? And those are things that people are like, oh man, I'm so tired working a 40-hour work week. But it's because you're working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Right?
Or you're not in alignment with your passion.
Correct. So when you have those things, you're already misaligned, you're already messed up. It's easy to say, you know what? Fuck the Patriots, fuck Tom Brady, fuck Kobe, right? But the thing is that didn't Kobe Bryant show up 2 hours before the game, stay 2 hours after the game every single night to shoot free throws, to shoot three-pointers? Tom Brady basically goes and coaches and works with every single wide receiver in the beginning of the offseason, no matter if they're on the starter, no matter on their practice squad. So that way, should those guys have to fill in, because with the Patriots, many of them came off the practice squad. He was in sync with them. Like, he's the first guy that when you come out on the team, and we heard this from one of our podcast guests, he said, you know what? I was new to the Patriots. I came out. The first guy to greet me was Tom Brady. And he said, hi, my name is Tom.
It's so funny because I think Julian Edelman said the same thing.
Yeah. Right. And it's consistency. But the thing is that people don't want to talk about those things. People don't want to talk about the hard work because it's so easy to hate on the people who have already gained that success.
Yeah.
Right. So what I noticed was, me personally, when I was and absolutely needed to be in aligned with the underdog, was when I was at my lowest. Right now, I see myself and I'm like, let's go, right? And again, a lot of times, it's easy to. Right now, I think it's easy to hate on Mahomes, right? For whatever reason, a lot of people hate the stuff from his wife and his brother, and his success because he got a large contract, or the mullet, or the hair, because he plays for the Chiefs. I mean,
or he sounds like Kermit the Frog.
Whatever it is, right? And so it's easy to turn around and say, "Oh, I hate Mahomes."
Yeah.
Right. Oh, whatever. Joe Burrow is so cool. But
it's the same thing with Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like you listen to their podcast and you get to see the insight. It's such a unique thing, but they actually had an episode where Mahomes came on there for an episode. They also interviewed Jalen Hurts. But to hear the actual inner workings and whatnot, brings a different perspective.
Yeah.
But as I think it's easier to hate than to appreciate.
100%, because hate spreads, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's easy to spread hate. It's easy to turn around and say, dude, some homeboy was over here talking shit about you, right?
Yeah.
Versus, hey man, I really like your shirt, right? Because then all of a sudden it's like, I think he's hitting on me, right? Like, we can't, we're so used to being in pain.
Yeah.
We're so used to being spurned and burned by someone else that we can't accept compliments. We can't accept the fact that somebody may actually be a true fan, that somebody may say, you know what, I appreciate your thinking. It's also the same way where we can't say, you know what, hey man, I can't stand your team, but good game.
Yeah.
Right? It's always like this whole level of like, well, fuck, I'm spurned, so the whole world has to burn with me.
Yeah. Misery loves company. Oh man. And that's the thing. Like, think about people that are always angry. Like, just how you would feel.
And why do you think that circles are small? Why do you think friendships are very few and far between?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to get together with people that you enjoy, right? And so with some people, it's like they latch on and they go for a ride, and then they latch on to the next person, go for a ride, because everything takes work. Relationships you have to put a lot of effort in, especially like a marriage, because you can't coast by.
Yeah.
There are certain moments, sure, that you get in a routine or whatever, but because we're so weird as human beings, because we are creatures of comfort. But the minute that you're comfortable, then you let go of things, right? So all of a sudden, like, I love this terminology that I got from an old poetry mentor, but he says we have this command and demand relationship when we start speaking. At first, it's, hey, honey, hope you're having a good day. I missed you. Can't wait to see you. What would you like for dinner tonight? Oh, I don't have this. Would you mind going to the store and picking that up for me, please? Hee hee. Right? And then you get married, and a couple years later, and it's like, hey, I need you to call me back, right?
Yeah.
Get a phone. And you got the kids screaming in the background, and your wife's stressed, right? And like, hey, I need you to go to the store, and I need you to get this, this, and this, right? And it's like, whoa, how was your day, right? And be like, oh, you want to hear about my day, right? And again, is it like that for everyone? Yes. No, no, but as you get comfortable, that relationship it's no longer about the pageantries, because you've seen the worst of them, right? Regardless if maybe that's their attitude, maybe it's the way that they feel, maybe it's a jealousy, maybe it's watching them poop on the toilet. I mean, whatever it is, there's no boundaries anymore. So therefore the comfort level increases. But that's why it's so important for some of these concepts that people have, like, some people really adapt to them and it really helps the marriage, and some people just forget about them altogether. But like date nights, even while you're married, making that time, spending quality time with the kids. So making sure that kids have equal relationships with both mom and dad, or both parents, I should say. Because so many relationships, like, and you hear this all the time about how fathers are not really involved, or how they don't have a relationship because they're just like their fathers, right? And they're tired, and so they think being a provider, maybe financially, is just enough, and that it's the mom's job. But really, you should be equally involved in every part of those aspects. Maybe financially, sure, one person makes more, one's the breadwinner, considered, whatever. But again, those are those things that you have to dialogue out, and nobody really comes into a marriage thinking that they know what's going to happen, a couple of years from now. Then nobody ever certainly thinks that they're going to fall out of love with one person. Nobody ever thinks for sure that, they say yes to forever, but statistically proven that we don't. So again, there's a disconnect somewhere.
Goes back to the loyalty situation.
I think that's a different loyalty. I mean, that's one that you would want to respect, at least in my mind. But there are very many people where a lot of people don't take the time to work on themselves.
No, it's true.
And I know that you preach and talk about that a lot, because, it is true. I hate to be cliche, but hurt people do hurt people.
Yeah, no, it's a very unique thing. It's just one of those facts that I think as you're building your legacy, as you're carving out whatever that is for you, you just gotta be mindful of these little things because we get so busy a lot of times and we lose sight. And I think just having a perspective from outside the centerpiece for you being in the storm can help you potentially grab onto something that you've forgotten or maybe was a foundational piece for you for a while. Life gets in the way and then that block has been kicked out.
I think the weirdest part about the human design and the human psyche is we are our own worst critic, but we are our biggest champion.
Yeah.
Like when you are at your absolute lowest and you have nobody else, literally, you've gone through everybody in your phone, you've burned bridges, you can't talk, you have pride, or what, all these different things. You're the one who pulls yourself up, right?
Yeah.
But when things are going well, nobody teaches us how to be great. Nobody trains us. Nobody, teaches us how to ride a good wave.
Yeah.
Nobody teaches us that if you can mitigate this roller coaster so you have lower lows and higher highs. But because we're not taught that, because those aren't things that are educated on,
Yeah.
we beat ourselves up. And nobody turns around and says, don't do that.
Well, and I think it's a unique thing, the lower lows, higher highs, how you get out of whack and then you seek the super, super highs and the super, super lows instead of staying constant. And then I think that bleeds into everything else in your life. Like if you're thriving off these super highs and super lows, and then you get into like a normal situation, you don't know what you're doing. You're freaked out.
What's really funny, right, is that like some people, and I've heard this, some people say, I would love for constant.
Mm.
I would love to basically just have average, right? I don't want to be super rich. I just want to be able to pay my bills. I want to be able to enjoy my days off. I don't mind working until I'm 65. Cool. For those that can do that, gosh, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Right? Because I would love to be able to be stagnant. And again,
Well,
maybe not
probably not
stagnant,
yeah.
but I would love to be constant where I didn't have to have like this and then this,
Yeah.
right? But I've already had as low as you can go,
Yeah.
right? And so I know where I never want to go back to. And so just like the graph that you were showing me earlier with the stats on the YouTube or whatever, right? Now I just want this to bell curve
Yeah.
to keep going up. Even if I flatten out and I go back up like staircases,
Yeah.
sure, I'm gonna dip down a little bit, but dipping down from this versus here,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I will take those little bit lows because you know what? That's failure. That's the pieces that like I didn't know. Those are the things I didn't even if I come back down here, right? And maybe that's below average of where I've been. That's infinitely better than here.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't think about that. A lot of people just think, hey, I want to get to here and stay here because it's better than this. But I tell you what, anything better is better than this.
Yeah. No. It's like I said, it's ultimately just being mindful as we go through life. We get beat up and then we lose sight of just the foundation that we need to be building upon and whatnot. So I think as you're building your legacy, it's just finding your tribe, but also don't have loyalty to stay there if it's not serving you anymore. You need to move because the certain people, like you'll probably have a very select few that are going to constantly level up with you. But the bigger piece there is some people are only meant to be with you for that certain level. And then when you level up, they're not coming with you because they're not equipped to go to that next level.
Well, and here's the thing too, is you can't drag people with you because you're one person. Bringing multiple people, right? I mean, it's already hard enough to juggle if you got a family, if you've got business partners, if you have others that rely on you, employees. It is going to be really hard to find more people to drag with you.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is that doesn't mean you have to go by yourself, right? There are other people that are up the top that will welcome you with open arms.
It's true.
There are other people who are on the summit below you who are right behind your ass, and they're a lot closer than you think. And guess what? They're gonna see you. They're gonna say, "Hey, are you coming?"
Yeah.
But if you're constantly looking back, you're never looking forward. It's something to really think about, because the hardest thing that you will ever go through in your entire life is focusing on change and facing yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're never willing to do that, your situation will never change. Where can people catch other episodes of this podcast for those who are just now tuning in?
Put that below, which is within your browser to download all your different apps. I'm sorry, I was blank there. I couldn't remember. So, but no, ultimately, checking out the platform, it is a huge platform that's specific to podcasts. So it does allow you to build that tribe there, find people that are listening to the same things. But you as a listener also have the opportunity to clip things that really speak to you. And so you don't see that on a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we move forward, it's been talked about that YouTube is starting to become a huge platform for podcasting. So that's where a lot of people are turning. So we'll start working towards getting videos and all the fun stuff that comes with that.
Yeah.
But go check out the YouTube channel. That's starting to build up for us.
Absolutely. And reach out to us on any of the platforms. Honestly, I mean, we love having this conversation. We love the challenge of people unlocking that it factor within themselves, you know, and really what I've found through my journey through life in this 180 and the pivot is that it is a learned skill.
Yeah.
And sometimes just getting a different perspective, right? And maybe the willingness to do that digging deep. But I promise you guys, like we talked about before, if I can do it, you can do it. But
as long as you're right in the right headspace.
Well, and even those who aren't, that is still ammo that they can later down the road. And it may not be something that unlocks tomorrow. It may not be even a year from now, right? It took me 10 years being in that damn corporate call center. But my first boss in that first meeting I had, she said, "What are you doing here?" And it took 13 years later to unlock that, right? So again, you'll have the knowledge, and that's still infinite. Even if you're not in the right mindset, if you're or whatever, if you're not in a position to take a leap of faith, still that is knowledge that you will soon eventually come across, and you're gonna realize, dang, this, I'm so glad that I had that. So don't be afraid to reach out. We're real people just like you guys. We're all on this journey to level up and get better and improve our situations and to live the lifestyle that we want to. And only difference really, I think, is that we're trying to live it versus just talk about it.
Other than that, Legacy Warriors, we'll catch you on the next episode. If you enjoyed the episode, love to hear feedback. If you hate the episode, love to hear feedback. Doesn't matter. Feedback allows us to grow and get better.
Can't force me on a podcast.
Well, potentially. We'll find out. But other than that, enjoy the episode. We'll catch you later. Thank you for allowing us to be on your journey with you.